Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Hope you had a great weekend. A new month has begun. It is June. Today we are at the 2nd of June, 2014. We are moving right along. So we have gone now from a weekend where we were dealing with Cancerian energy, emotions. So if you felt emotions over the weekend, it's par for the course. We made a transition from Cancer to the next sign, which would be Leo, which is where we're at today for our moon sign. And our sun sign is in Gemini. So just a little refresher about what those are. We have Gemini is an air sign. Gemini is all about communication. Gemini in the tarot cards is the Lovers. Leo is a fire sign. Leo is all about passion, creativity. Leo the lion. The lion, we know the story of the lion that roars. And when the lion roars, it can be very powerful. In the tarot cards, the Leo would represent strength. So we have the lion and we have the Lovers. Now, our conscious mind, the sun, and our unconscious mind is the moon. So when we look at astrology, we're looking at a simple system that is teaching us how to look at the energies around us to help interpret what's going on. We don't give our power up to it. There's nothing to give your power up to. You simply learn the lessons from what these are about. We learn how the subconscious mind and how the conscious mind is dealing with these energies. That's in terms of the sun and the moon. However, there's more aspects involved than just the sun and the moon. And so that's why we kind of look at the whole chart. If you think of all of us as a recipe, we're a recipe that's made up of a number of ingredients. At the time in which we are born is a time when we get a snapshot of what were all those ingredients that were poured into who we are. That's what an astrology chart is. It's a way to look at your recipe, the recipe of you. And when you can put it all together and you look at it and you say, oh, this is what makes me. This is what was poured into me at the time when I was born. And then through a course of an astrology chart, nothing stays the same. Everything moves around. So you have all of your energies, your signs that are all there, your recipe. But then as you go from day to day to day, those planets and those stars, they're living, they're breathing, they're moving, they continue to move along. And as they continue to move along, they form different, what are called aspects with other planets and stars. They become in different alignments with them. If they're in certain alignments, then there's a certain energetic pattern that is created. So you have a square, which provides one sort of an alignment. You have a trine, which forms another. You have a sextile, which we're going to start including in today, which is another. We have a conjunction, which is another. And all these are just different ways of looking how energy bounces off each other. And it's that simple. And so if you just think of energy and how we're always reflecting it and bouncing it and trying to find ways to see how it works or what's going on with it, that's the simplicity of what's going on. It's not supposed to be a real complicated system, but there are lots of little details to it. The more you learn the details, the more you get into it, certainly the more you might have an understanding of it. But it's not necessary to know all of those details. Now, on a daily basis, people read the horoscopes and they look at them, and people say, well, how could this be true for everybody? Well, there's generalizations. For example, today's June 2nd. We could look at the astrology today we're going to look at. We can see a generalization of what the overall energy is of the day. But to get real specific for each individual, well, we'd have to have astrology for millions of people. And that's kind of a challenge to do. That's what everyone's personal astrology is about. So we look at this to kind of get a general idea. What is the overview that we are all dealing with? And then from there, you kind of take it and understand a little bit more personally about yourself to try to figure out a little bit more of what that is. Does that make sense? So today, here we are. We have a sun sign in Gemini. Gemini is the lovers. Gemini is about communication. Gemini is the sign. Let me show you right here. Gemini, you've got three characters in here. You have a male, which is the man, the male energy, the conscious mind, the female, the unconscious mind, and then the angel, the higher self. So this is telling us we have to go with our conscious mind, looking to our unconscious mind, and our unconscious mind wants to be focused on the higher self. If we're looking in this aspect, we have a nice, good energy amongst us. We have a nice, good, positive energy between our mind all coming together to understand a bigger picture. Because it's real easy to get caught up in the small picture, isn't it? On a day-to-day basis, all the things that go on in the world, we want to keep ourselves focused on the positive. And so that helps us to do that. Leo is our moon sign right here. I made that transition yesterday. And this is Leo. Leo's the lion. So with Leo, we've got the woman, subconscious mind. She's dressed in white, purity, and she's taming the red lion. The lion is red because of the passion, the fire. And so the subconscious mind, this purity, is taming the masculine, the conscious mind. And in doing so, there's a lot of harmony. There's a key word that goes along with this card, which is righteousness. Righteousness. If you take the word righteousness and you break it down, right useness. It's the right useness of how we use the energy that is around us. We could use the energy in all sorts of ways, but when we find the right way to use it, things become smooth. We see that the path before us unfolds a little easier because we're finding ways to use the energy which is a little bit more adapted to what we're doing and in the correct way to go. So we've got a couple different signs here. So the square one right here, we know what a square sign is. A square means there's a lesson that has to be learned, some sort of block that is in our way. And we see that we just passed this not too long ago. And when these aspects take place, it's not like it hits and then the moment that, this shows at 7:10 a.m. It doesn't mean at 7:11 a.m. it's over. It means it's just unfolding. It gets started. It's like a ripple. Think of throwing a stone into a pond and it ripples out. It takes some time. So the ripple of energy affects us all. So here we have a square, which means a lesson, a blockage, a roadblock we need to get past, and it's with Venus. So the moon sign, Leo. Leo is square Venus. So Venus is all about imagination, creativity. So we have Leo, which would be the righteousness, and it's at a lesson with our imagination. Okay, so what is the right way we're going to use our imagination? Are we going to use our imagination in ways that are going to help us to evolve, to advance us, or are we going to get caught up in some sort of doubts and fears, and then our imagination doesn't really have anywhere to go? So it's just an important thing. So we want to find a way around that. I always like to think of the squares as a wall. We come to a point where we hit a wall, and we have an option. We can either get stuck there, or we can find our way around that wall, and once we do, we become even stronger than we were because we've learned a great lesson. And sometimes there's bigger lessons, sometimes smaller. It really depends. Okay, now right here, what we have is a sextile. A sextile is when there is an energy that is a nice, good, harmonious energy. It's kind of like a trine. It shows it's a nice, good opportunity for good, positive things to happen between these signs. So we have the moon sign, which is Leo. And we have Mars. Mars is a planet that is red, it's fiery, it can be aggression, it can be passion, depending on how it's channeled. So if there's a nice, good, positive energy here, it shows that it's being channeled in a nice, positive, creative way. And this is between Leo. So if you recall from the image I just showed you, here we have Leo, the lion, all in red, which is the color of Mars. And so it's being tamed. And so if we allow that to be tamed, then we allow ourselves to find a right way to use our energy. Think of the times when maybe you've been really angry or upset and you're not thinking clearly, right? The moment you can bring all that clarity together and get out of that point or place of being upset, suddenly you have a different way to channel your energy. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So we have a nice, good, positive trine between the way in which we use our energy today, and then later this afternoon, and then this evening there's a nice, good aspect here as well, a sextile between the sun and the moon, between Gemini and between Leo. So Gemini is our communication, Leo is our righteousness, our passion, and we find that we bring them together. So our communication finds a nice, good way in which to express itself. Okay. So those are some of the things about today to look at. Our if we go over here, I've got the June 2014 ephemeris. Again, this is if you want to look a little bit more detailed on what's going on. It's like the calendar, except it's not laid out in that particular format. So just remember, you got all the symbols across the top here: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. And all you do is you just follow down in the column. Here's the days, and you look for here, like here we have Gemini as a symbol up here. So it tells us that our sun sign is in Gemini, and it's going to stay in Gemini all the way down here. We're not going to see that symbol again until it changes, which is down here on the 22nd. So all of these days we can know our days of Gemini. And the moon sign, this is going to change more often. We see Cancer, where we were the other day, and now it's made a transition and it's over to Leo. Okay, and same thing, just go across. Now also it's important to remember that these charts are not set up according to your local time zones. They're all set up to what's Greenwich Mean Time. So this is why when you look at this here, you may not see the correlation between the day. You may say, well, this shows that on the 3rd is when it changes to Leo, and it's not the 3rd where I'm at, but in Greenwich Mean Time it is in that location of the world. So that's why it's like that. Our numerology for today is the number 6. Okay, the number 6, here is how we arrived at that. So we have the 6th for the month of June, 2 for the day, and the year 2014. Now we're going to use theosophic subtraction. So we're going to take all these numbers, add them together until we reduce them down. So we have the 2 plus the 0 plus the 1 plus the 4 is a 7. We add another 2 to that, that's 9, plus another 6 to that, that adds 15. So 1 plus the 5, and 1 plus 5 is 6. We're continually reducing these down to a single number, and once we get to that single number, we can look at what that is. And it is the same number that is represented by our tarot card of the Lovers. So it's something that is not that we're familiar with. Okay, it's all about communication, all about finding that synchronicity and how we communicate, learning to work with the higher self. The Hebrew letter on here, Zayin, means sword. It's the sword of discrimination or discernment. We all have this gift of discernment. We need to use it as we go through life because it helps us to figure out what's going on. If we go through life without discernment, well, we get fooled all the time, and the opportunity in the world this day to get fooled is pretty easy because there's a lot of foolers out there, a lot of jokers, so to speak. Okay, so that's what's going on with the number 6. Now if we look at our tree of life, we can kind of place all of these different things we just talked about here to see where we're at. Remember, the objective of the tree of life is to find the middle pillar, to get back to the middle pillar. You have one side, which is the pillar of mercy. You have the pillar of severity. Think of Goldilocks and the 3 bears. Too much, too little, just right. So we have Gemini, which is going from the classroom, where we are learning the lessons of understanding, and it's taking us back to the heart. We have Leo, which is going here, and it's a bridge. and it crosses between mercy and severity. So strength is when we're able to take our mercy, our humility, and our severity, this strength, this passion, and we find a bridge between the two of them. Because we don't want to be so humble in life, because then we just get run over. But we don't want to be so aggressive in life, because then we're warlike. We want to find that balance. That's what strength is. Strength is opening up your heart and allowing the love to shine through your heart. And it's a doorway, just like up here, the imagination of the Empress is a doorway. This is a doorway as well that allows us to continue to have access down to the middle of the tree. So we could see where we're going today, making our way back into the heart space here and here. Okay? Our moon phase is 21% of the way full. We're making our way upward towards the full moon. Remember the terms waxing and waning. Waxing means going up from a new moon to a full moon, and from a full moon down, it's waning. Wax on, wane off. Just think of the Karate Kid. When we look at the sky map, we have a image going on here today. It says, with the summer not far off, you can still catch Procyon low in the twilight. It's lower left of Jupiter, and this evening, low or perhaps lower right of the moon, depending on your latitude. How much later into the season can you follow it? Okay, so this is what we're going to see tonight. We see our moon, and then just a little bit down here, there's Procyon. And if we look way up above the moon, we're going to see that's where Leo is. Okay, so starting to see a correlation here. Our moon is in Leo. Well, there's Leo. That's why it's like that, because we're moving through the sky. The zodiac, everything moves, and so we've moved into the section of the sky which is known as Leo. Our Mayan Oracle, we're on the wave spell, or the theme of purification of the moon. Red is the color in this system here of initiation, a new beginning. The idea of initiation is the idea that we are able to learn something new. For example, if you, well, just with what we're learning, the astrology and the numerology. If somebody looks at the numerology and they aren't familiar with what the terms are, to them it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. But once you understand, once you've become initiated into those meanings, suddenly it has a different way in which you understand what it's about, because you've been initiated into a deeper meaning. And so we're always learning more. We're always going through these phases of initiation. So the system has 4 colors: red, white, blue, yellow. Red, initiation. White, we then refine that energy after we've been initiated. Blue, we take that energy and we now are transformed, or use it to transform ourselves. And yellow, ripening, where it grows and we begin the next. And then it starts the next phase over and over and over again. And that's it: red, white, blue, yellow. There is a 4th color that pops in here, green, which is kind of the magical color in this regards. And it pops up from time to time and kind of runs through everything. But we really mainly look at the red, white, blue, and yellow. Okay? So as we look at these symbols for today, we've got the blue, so today is about transformation. We've got the guide. The guide and the kin, the day kin, are always the same color. So wisdom, or vision of the eagle, is our kin, and accomplishment of the hand is our guide. And remember, with our hand, we can either kill or we can create, whatever it is we want to do. Okay, so we learn how to use that energy properly. So we're going to, and then 7 is representing the tone of the moon, the 7th tone, which is called the resonant tone. So we have the resonant wisdom, or the resonant tone would be called the tone of attunement. So it would be the attunement of our vision, guided by accomplishment. And this one over here on this side, the right side, is the seed. This is the position that represents like-minded energies for today. The seed is planting, flowering. Flower grows into, something beautiful that we're able to appreciate. It's like our ideas. We plant our ideas, they grow. Our challenge for today which is the left side, is the serpent. The challenge is always our life force energy, or in this regard is the life force energy, how we're going to use our energy. What is the challenge? Are we going to use it in a wise way? Are we just going to throw it away? It's important. And then our hidden power, the occult kin, and remember, occult is a word that just means that which is hidden. Doesn't mean anything else other than that. It has no evil connotations. It just means something that is hidden. So the hidden power is the way in which we look at life and death and understand how they're constantly moving back and forth. Change. Ideas live, ideas die. And as we go through that, we take the concept and the whole heaviness of death out of the picture, and we just realize a transition has taken place. Makes it much easier to consider. So we have the phrase that comes out of this is, I channel in order to create inspiring mind. I seal the output of vision with the resonant tone of attunement. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. Over at Space Weather, solar wind at this moment is 291.9 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is 1. We're quiet at the moment. Coronal holes, look, we got this big thing going on down here. A few little things, but no notices that these are affecting us. But when we do get affected, the reason is because there's energy coming off here. It's called solar wind. And when this solar wind blows out of these different holes that are going on here, if it's facing the Earth, if the different ways in which the energy is blowing off the sun hits us, we get affected down here on the Earth. Everything gets affected because the sun is breathing in and out, in and out. Everything breathes. And that's what's going on with the sun. M-class flares show us that there's only a 5% chance we're going to get one of those, and only 1% chance we're going to get an X-class flare. These are just intensities of flares, and each intensity has 9 different levels to it. Okay, so when we have these flares, sometimes we feel the effects down here on the Earth because of how intense they may be. Our weather patterns get affected. And geomagnetic storms is also energy coming off of the sun, and we could see that in the mid-latitudes, things are very low, 15% chance in the next 24 to 48 hours. But in the higher latitudes, there's a little bit more opportunity that there's going to be some sort of storming activity. And usually with storming activity, it results in things like auroras. Good times, maybe have a camera if you're in a place where you might get some good sky watching, because you might get some good images and so on. And last, on our Jewish calendar, see where we're at. Today we're at another month, the month of Sivan, which is the 3rd month on the Jewish calendar. It tells us we're at Omer count day 48. Tonight it begins 49. And remember, in this journey, it is a 49-day journey that takes us all the way to Shavat. So we go from the time of Passover, the time of when the Exodus occurred, all the way into the time of when they arrived at Mount Sinai and they were given Torah. Okay, so we're just about to that point. So that's a very special time. The Torah, 10 Commandments. And let's see what we've got here for our thought for today. And it tells us it's about divine wisdom. What is divine wisdom? Divine wisdom is the inner delight of the infinite, condensed and crystallized until fit for human consumption. What is a mitzvah? A mitzvah is a divine wisdom condensed and crystallized until it can be performed as a physical action. That is why in the study of the Torah there is an infinite delight. That is why in the act of a mitzvah there is unlimited joy. Okay, so we're taking this divine wisdom and we're using the mitzvah, the wisdom, to be performed out into the physical world. Okay, and there you go. That's our energy getting us started for today. I'll be right back with some UFO news. Stay tuned.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, let's continue on. So the first story here, we're going to go up to Mars. Got that rover up at Mars. Maybe. Is it on Mars or is it on Earth? There's different speculation either way. But here we have a little object that's seen out there on the surface of Mars. Biological life form shoots past the rover on Mars, May 2014. We've got links to the photos. This is UFO Sightings Daily. Scott C. Waring. It says the dark object was discovered in Sol 644 by StreetCap1 of YouTube. I looked for other images of the mountain area, but none were of this exact location. The black UFO was not in any other photos. The photo label says NavCam, right B, and the date 2014-5/29/20. Although the black UFO could be an alien drone, it does look like a flying black beetle. Its shape resembles a black quesadilla, which on Earth has transparent wings. The black object looks like it is flying and not sitting on the mountain. The mountain is blurred and faded. There are no such black objects anywhere on that mountain as seen in the other photos of Sol 644. It had to have flown past the rover, was taking a photo, so here we are again looking at a biological life form flying past the rover. Don't expect NASA to talk about it though, of course. NASA, never a straight answer. Because, we're not wise enough to be able to deal with this information if there's UFOs, right? Right. Alright, now we're going to look at an old photo back of the space shuttle. This was says spectacular UFO footage from NASA STS-48 Discovery Space Shuttle released. There's our space shuttle imagery there. When it comes to some of the most unexplained footage of unidentified flying objects, there have been spectacular UFO film footage released from the NASA STS-48 Space Shuttle flight. They filmed this original UFO footage between September 12th and 18th, 1991. The recently discovered top-secret NASA film shows a UFO following after the space shuttle while it was in orbit during one of its missions. NASA continues to refuse comment on the video, even though it has come straight from the Discovery mission and is most definitely at the top of the unexplained list. This footage has not been photoshopped, altered in any way, and is very well documented, has the subject of an ongoing, arduous scientific explanation by multiple astronomers, scientists, and space institutions around the world. Okay, there's our object right here. So again, stuff going on there in space. That was a pretty quick turn, huh? Lots of things going on up there in space that all we have to do is look. Alright, now we're going to go over to a volcano here on Earth. This took place on the 31st. It says video footage of a Volcano Plume, Indonesia. Let's just jump ahead to where it is. There's our image there. There we go. So is that a UFO? That is a question. Is that just a cloud? Don't know. Certainly looks like a UFO type cloud. It's a very interesting photo. We certainly seem to be seeing a number of these things, haven't we? Okay, and one more. This is, remember the UFO that was in the Baltic Sea? Well, this is a little bit more analysis of that. It is not an object which is man-made in modern time. Whatever it is either from during the Ice Age or pre-Ice Age. The object is very old. Old with straight angles, lines, rounded corners, much like a dinner plate, and separate from the base below. Alright, this is what's down there. There are three objects of interest. The main 60-meter circular anomaly, a smaller secondary object lying approximately 200 meters from the first anomaly with an area shaped like two Gothic church windows, and a third anomaly which is a 28-meter high, 275-meter wide rock outcrop with a crack running through it lying some 1,500 meters south of the circular object, direct on the other end of the trail. The team has stated Anomaly 2 might turn out to be the most interesting than the first, and they plan to dive on it this time around. Okay, we have a little 2-minute video here. Just kind of going into it. I'm going to leave that for you to watch. This nice little interview. But it's pretty cool, isn't it? Kind of looks like something we've seen in Star Wars. I think there's even a picture of that down here as we go down. There we go. Very, very interesting. So do you think that's man-made? Just a accident? Or just maybe a way the rocks grew? Or is there a possibility that there's something a little bit more to that? I'd have to say there's something a little bit more to that. Okay, there's the picture of the Star Wars Millennium Falcon. Alright, very cool. That is our UFO news. You know, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and we were talking about UFOs, and they said, "Oh, they don't believe it." I said, "You don't believe it? What don't you believe?" They don't believe they exist, because if they existed, it would be all over the mainstream news. It's like, are you kidding me? You really, they couldn't believe that. He said, "You can't mean to tell me the government controls our media and controls the information that goes out there." Well, this is a very skeptical individual, and I told him, I said, the information exists. All you have to do is go look. But despite the fact that I said it's there and you have to look, there was this complete resistance of wanting to go look. And so I think that that's how it is with a lot of folks, that the information's there. I mean, you can see with your own eyes that something is there. All you have to do is take a look, and then you can decide for yourself what it is. And a lot of people just are afraid to do that for whatever reason, because it might blow their perception, especially if they're very skeptical. But just imagine and just think back to how many times we have seen footage, UFO footage, where someone is filming it, and they say they don't believe this, and now they see something, and now they suddenly have a new perspective, because something they didn't believe happened suddenly was very real. So it happens all the time, and I think it will continue to happen as we continue to move through this journey of life that we are on. All right, that's our UFO news. I'll be back in just about a minute or so, and we'll continue on. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Okay, I'm back. Let's continue. So I found some really interesting articles, and I had some viewers send me some others, and let's get to these. This first one has to do with Machu Picchu. And this is called the Temple of the Moon. Thought this was pretty cool. The Temple of the Moon, look at this. Temple of the Moon is an Incan ceremonial temple on Huayna Picchu near Machu Picchu in Peru. The site is made up of stone masonry and an open-faced shallow cave. The temple is arbitrarily named like many of the sites in Machu Picchu. In the center of the cave is a throne carved out of rock. Besides this throne are steps that lead deeper into the cave. It is thought that the caves were used to hold mummies. The Temple of the Moon dates back 1,500 years. If this were true, then it predates the Inca. It was discovered in 1936. It lies 1,280 feet below the summit of the north side of Huayna Picchu. Okay, there's access to the top of Huayna Picchu mountain is via stone staircases and a series of wooden ladders. Do not attempt this unless you are very physically fit. Temple of the Moon consists of 3 structural components: an overhanging cave with superb stonework, a very tall double-jammed doorway. Beyond and further beyond, several structures, including that one, again, uses a cave. Pretty awesome, isn't it? How'd you like to live there? The purpose of the building of the temple is not exactly known, keeping in mind that caves, like springs, were thought to be entrances for gods. They believe the temple purpose was to be a place of worship of the mountain and its gods. Brian Forrester, who's the gentleman who does all of this kind of research. He agrees with experts that the name Temple of the Moon was arbitrarily given to it. There he is right there. You've seen him before. Alright, then you click there for more information. So, pretty cool. I've never been out to Machu Picchu. Sometime I'd like to get out there, and heard many, many great things. You could see there's some really awesome things to see out there. Now, let's go from Machu Picchu to Egypt. Now, you've heard the stories, I'm sure, about how underneath Egypt that there was something under the ground, underground complex. Well, this is what this article's about. It says, mysterious, enormous underground labyrinth of Egypt holds secrets from the outside world. The lost labyrinth, full of hieroglyphs sculpted for eternity in its endless stone walls, is believed to contain knowledge of all ancient Egypt. What secrets does this legendary giant underground complex contain? Could this be the most important discovery in human history? The labyrinth of Egypt has been described by a number of ancient writers such as Herodotus, Strato, Diodorus, and Pliny. The labyrinth's age and ancient origins are unclear, but at the time of Herodotus' visit was more than 1,300 years ago. The legendary complex named the Labyrinth by the ancient Greeks was a legendary complex believed to be an enormous collective tomb of the 12 kings who built it in a resting place for sacred crocodiles. Located in Hawara, about 90 kilometers south of modern Cairo, the complex contains secret chambers, passages, shrines, and tombs. Herodotus wrote of the labyrinth in the 5th century BC. It has 12 covered courts, 6 in a row facing north, 6 south. The gates of one range exactly facing the front gates of the other. Inside the building is a 2 stories and contains 3,000 rooms, of which half are underground and the other half directly above them. I was taken through the rooms in the upper story, so what I shall say of them is from my own observation, but the underground ones I can speak of only from report, because the Egyptians in charge refused to let me see them, as they contained the tombs of the kings who built the labyrinth, and also the tombs of the sacred crocodiles. And here's an image of that. I have 1 layer, 2 layers here. So the upper rooms, on the contrary, I did see, and it's hard to believe that they are the work of men. The baffling and intricate passages from room to room, from court to court, were an endless wonder to me. As we passed from the courtyard into the rooms, from rooms into galleries, from galleries into more rooms, and thence into yet more courtrooms. The roof of every chamber, courtyard, and gallery is like the walls of stone. They're covered with carved figures, and each court is exquisitely built of white marble and surrounded by a colonnade. You can go down, some more images of it. You see the upper land and how far below the ground it was. Well, here's a drawing that someone had done of it at a certain point in time. Right? So, very interesting. Very interesting what's underneath the pyramids. There are in Egypt. They're around by the pyramids. Now, let's take a jump over to present time. We've heard that Star Trek is a good source for creating what we have, the technology. Here's something else. You can see here it says a 1.3 watt 445 nm Star Trek phaser. That's pretty cool, huh? You can see as he points it at this balloon here, the balloon will pop, as you'll see. So even though this is a phaser that is like the Star Trek phaser, you'll still want to be careful. We don't really want to put this in the hands of somebody who's going to go and shoot it, because you never know, you might shoot somebody's eyes out. Now, a little more advancement in technology. We talked last week about the suspended animation. Well, here's something else that is going along the lines of healing. It says, forget fillings. Scientists just discovered how to regrow teeth using lasers. Good news for all you taffy addicts and crystal meth smokers out there. A Harvard-led team of scientists had just discovered a way to regrow teeth. If further developed, this technology could spell the end of things like fillings and dentures, and even lay the groundwork for other regenerative procedures like wound healing, bone regeneration, and more. Published yesterday in the journal Science Translational Medicine, the procedure used to achieve the tooth regrowth sounds like it's taken straight out of a science fiction novel. The team used a low-power laser to trigger human dental stem cells and encourage them to form dentin, the hard bone-like tissue that lies underneath the teeth's enamel and make up the bulk of a tooth's mass. This is groundbreaking because up till now, stem cells, undifferentiated cells that have the ability to become different, more specialized types of cells, have proven difficult to manipulate with much precision. Scientists have long been fascinated with stem cells because of their potential to repair or to replace damaged or worn out tissues. But generally speaking, medical researchers have struggled to figure out ways to coax them into becoming the specific types of cells like dentin or skin, for example. Pinning down the mechanism that causes a stem cell to transform into a particular type of new cell is tough. Previous techniques required scientists to isolate stem cells from the body, manipulate them in a lab, and then grow them in a particular kind of cell that was needed, and then return them to the body. Not only are these methods difficult and time-consuming, but they also face a number of regular hurdles, so progress in the area has been relatively low. This new laser-based method, however, is considerably faster and vastly less invasive. Furthermore, the new technique was proven to work in multiple lab and animal models, which is extremely promising. We'll let you dig into the technical details on your own, but the big takeaway here is that this is a big step for stem cell research and will hopefully accelerate the pace at which the next gen restorative medicine is developed. That's pretty cool. And here, again, taken from the book of Star Trek, we have the way to make food. 3D printer, look at this. First cheap 3D printed food is nursing home mush. That looks pretty good. It says go to the cafeteria of a nursing home and you'll see elderly residents nourishing on pureed food. It's necessary for patients for whom chewing is difficult, but it's not very palatable. A German company is seeking to change that by making 3D printed, easy to chew food that actually tastes good. The company behind the project is called Biozone Smooth Food. It uses liquefied ingredients, vegetables, carbs, meats, etc. in the place of the ink or PLA that a 3D printer would normally use. Ingredients are inserted into a cartridge of the printer, and with the help of a binding agent, they come out as food that pretty much melts in your mouth. For now, they're making 6 foods: cauliflower, peas, chicken, pork, potatoes, and pasta. But more food is on the menu for the future. The food can come out in whatever shape the software of the program is dictated. However, remember, this is 3D printing we're talking about, so the user is afforded a lot of freedom. However, Biozone is making food items in their shape, so it's not much of a break from what these elderly people would probably prefer to be eating in the first place. It says right now the food is made off-site and sent to homes, but the goal is that eventually Biozone will be able to place printers directly in the homes. Many elderly people really need this as they suffer from dysphagia, a condition that often plagues stroke victims, causing trouble swallowing. This could result in choking, and if a 3D printing makes it so your dear grandmother never has to eat pureed beets again, we all win. That's pretty awesome, right? So just think of all the things that Star Trek has generated. Yet something else, making food. That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. All right. So from here, we're going to switch gears and we're going to go over to an article at In5D. And this is another good article from Michelle Walling. You may have heard the interview that I did last week. She's going to be on the show in the very near future, as well as Greg Prescott. So I will keep you informed of that. Here we have an article that says how to raise the magic force within you. That's right, the magic force. We all have this within us. Question is how to raise this energy. As we understand how black magic has been controlling humanity, we continue to shed light upon solutions that will free ourselves from a number of spells that have been cast. Everyone on the planet has access to the force, which is a powerful energy that can change the outcome of your current reality. Access to the Force can be found within and is one of the most important realizations that the dark forces do not want us to know about. How is black magic forced upon humanity? As discussed in the article How Black Magic is Controlling Humanity, physical and spiritual retardation of the human race is being influenced by hidden tools. In the article, this is a quote. It says the difference between black and white magic is that black magic infringes upon the free will of individuals and is the misuse of tools that were intended to assist in spiritual ascension, whereas white magic is all about alchemy and transformation in a spiritual sense. Black magic is used for dominion, power, and control. And here are different examples of black magic, how they're used. We're familiar with many, if not all of these. Negative imprinting, mind control, tracking devices, psychic attacks, suggestion hypnosis, infiltration of the physical body, mental attacks, negative implants, invasion of free will, soul theft, abduction, disinformation, language, religion, banking and finance, politics, synthetic drugs and legalization of promotion of alcohol, legal system based on maritime law, chemical warfare through chemicals, GMOs and manufactured airborne viruses and diseases, and sacred geometry used in the layout and construction of cities and buildings. Okay, awareness and identification of black magic, very important. We have to use our discernment in this. When a person becomes aware that there are such things as implants or tracking devices, obviously that person would want to seek help to remove such devices. Some devices may be physical, some may be ethereal, and some may have been physically implanted during an abduction. The raising of our vibration over time will dissolve these devices, as they are simply made of energy that will not withstand higher vibrational light. If an implanted device is retarding vibrational attainment and cannot be removed, then it would be best to have energy healing from a trained professional. A psychic energy healing is even better because there are healers that can see the energy and know where to focus the healing energy to. Invasion of free will is against universal law and is the breach of law that has caused such attention to be focused on Earth at this time. Our efforts to regain our free will choice is a battle that exists off planet as our space brothers and sisters help fight for our freedom. Negative imprinting and mind control can be accomplished through television. One example of this includes engineered laugh tracks on sitcoms that are tracks of laughter from various incongruent people that end up to be a disharmonious wave of energy. This vibrates into our cells and creates a false energy environment that we are taught to laugh at, someone who is in pain or in a difficult situation. As thoughts create our reality, this behavior pattern is then stored in the noosphere, where all humans have access to this type of pattern. Another form of negative imprinting involves subliminal race discrimination. Currently, there is a hidden agenda in place to keep humans at war with themselves by inserting false propaganda in our media that pits one race against the other. When the harshest economic repression weighs on the shoulders of the working class, and then the contempt and radical racial hatred is further added to it, nothing more than a simple and clear understanding of the situation is needed in order for the masses to rise up as one and to throw off all forms of exploitation. Jose Carlos Maratuga, from the Peruvian writer, journalist, and political thinker. All right. It says language was created for humans to be able to communicate with each other, and because we lost the ability to communicate telepathically with the fall in vibration. The English language is a convoluted language created that can lead confusion and misunderstanding. Many words that sound the same can be spelled differently and have different meanings. The word spelling is a verb for casting a spell. There are many languages on our planet which keep us from being able to communicate with each other. All right? And others, chemtrails, and so on and so forth. Okay, what is the force? The force is the energy that automatically makes our hearts beat and our lungs take in oxygen. The origin of the force within our body is seated in the heart chakra as the wheel of spinning energy. This energy is a small spark of our creator source that sends forth an aspect of ourself in order to experience. Astrological influences can affect this force, and opportunities for strengthening the force and for manipulation can be attributed to astronomical alignments that were imprinted upon the DNA at birth. Our force is also affected as we move through the solar system, galaxy, and universe. In a nutshell, the force is the creative light within you and is the biggest secret the dark controllers do not want you to know about. Use the force. Okay. how to ward off black magic through the Force. Magic is the art of requiring changes in consciousness to occur in accordance with the will. Very few people know the real secret that makes magic a reality in our perception. Magic requires a hypnotic trance-like state in order to communicate with a different level of helpers. This is achieved by making contact with and communicating and commanding spirits to help perform this task. The black magicians are fourth-dimensional astral plane spirits and possible spirits from other universes. They perform sacrifices to feed these beings with blood or negative energy, dense energy in return for favors. The hypnotic state can be defined as a meditative state where the focus is brought to the task and everything else falls away. This can be as simple as reading a book or watching television. This makes television the perfect opportunity for black magicians to use certain words, suggestions, or in the case of television, sounds to influence consciousness. Deeper somnambulistic trances allow the conversations within the subconscious that can program or deprogram the subconscious to do things in the subconscious state. White magicians call of the angels and guides of the fifth dimension and higher. They use meditation and prayer and request help from the prayer space. Prayer is a form of meditation where the eyes are shut and incantation is spoken out loud. Prayer can be used by the dark by emotional incantations, through religious spelling, and by stealing soul energy through sacrifice. It is clear that whether performing black magic or white magic, one must be in the mode to adjust their vibration to that of their helpers in order to make the connection with them. Okay, and then here's some ways to go. It says prepare your space. Before you meditate, make sure you're not distracted. You have quiet space to spend at least 20 minutes. Dim your lights if you need to. Maybe light a candle. Ground yourself. Go within. It's very important. Invoke the assistance of your spirits, guides, angels, space brothers, and sisters. And focus, speak with intentions and emotions. And then sit with the energy of your heart space and expand the light from the Creator. Okay, let me jump to the end here. It says strengthening the Force takes practice and meditation, heartfelt intention, and prayer. We possess the powers to restore the state of unity among difference. The dark magicians have used dissonant frequencies to keep us in an imbalanced state. The knowledge of this gives us the power to harmonize our vibrations and free ourselves from their grasp. Free will has been stripped from us, and recognizing our own power will tip the scales of universal law in our direction. Strong emotion and intention gets this force flowing along with incantation and repetition. The pineal gland has something to do with force since they have tried to keep it calcified. In conjunction with the pituitary gland and the heart chakra, the pineal can open gateways to higher consciousness. The human body is a very vulnerable creation because it allows that doorway to be open to change reality. As we awaken to who we truly are as spirits having a human experience, it is important to know who or what is in your own doorway. All right, another very good article, Michelle. And, it's very important. All around us, everything's energy. Everything is energy. And so what this is talking about the manipulation of energy. Energy can be used in a good way or a positive way. There are those out there who try to manipulate energy in order to manipulate you. These are called dark magicians. Hollywood was wood that was used by druids. It's a magic wand. So Hollywood itself is a magic wand. We hear about Hollywood magic. Well, in Hollywood, there are black magicians waving that wand. When you turn on the television, you were watching programming. Programming, okay? Something is programming your mind. When a show is on that is a show that is all about dark energy, those people who are watching that show are being programmed in a certain way. So if you're watching a show and that show consists of some sort of satanic ritual, guess what? Someone has conditioned you to believe that it is okay to participate in that satanic ritual. And all of the people watching that are putting that energy into that. And so that is one way in which this dark energy manipulates and grows in the world. Because people go and they say, it's just entertainment. But it's entertainment on one level, but on the other level, someone's doing a dark magical practice. They're opening up dark gateways of this magical energy, and they're convincing you to participate in this unknowingly. It's kind of weird and scary, and if people stop participating in these things, the world would certainly be different. But people are so conditioned because you turn on the TV and you're programmed to think a certain way. Once we can step past this, things are going to be much better for all of us. Okay? And those who do step past it already find that they're free from caught up in those snares. But there are many who aren't. They wonder why their lives have so much challenges to them, and then they go and they're watching these kind of programs. Just kind of put two and two together and you start to see. Watch a program about satanic energies, dark energies. Guess what? It's going to affect your life. Stop watching those things. Your life will be affected and will move in a different way. You'll be much happier. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. All right. So now that brings us to our message for today. And this is from Hilarion. So let's get over to this.
2014, by Marlene Swetleshoff.
Hilarion.
Beloved ones, you have been passing through many portals through the last few months, and now comes the process of assimilation of the energies and the shifting into a new perspective on your personal and collective journey. Many of you are arriving and perceiving, however dimly at first, the underlying potential that lies like magical seeds within the garden of your life. You are realizing that it is you who does the creating of the direction your life should go, and it all involves the constant use of your focus and your thoughts. It is important to remember that your thoughts are now in position to be more potent and more powerful than ever before, for the energies you have passed through have cleared many obstacles that were standing in your way forward. If you have been working on being attuned to these new energies, the way forward will fall into place in magical and wondrous ways. What seemed so difficult and unreachable before will now come into manifestation without too much focus from you. With these potentials comes a warning to be responsible in your every thought, word, and deed, for your power to create has been greatly magnified. Use self-discipline and discerning awareness of the thoughts you are holding in each moment. As they come up, along with the associated feelings with them, learn to change all those thoughts and feelings that are from the old paradigm that were keeping you small in your perceptions of your own abilities and how you might use them. Realize that you are no longer in that place and space, and that now, you can be all that you have desired to be, and that you can have all the good in your daily life that you have desired and deserved. You have done the work, and now you are preparing to create the beauty of your new life. Celebrate each moment by rewarding yourself often. Surround yourself with the beauty of nature as often as you are able, for in this lies the power to regenerate and rejuvenate your human operating systems in a safe and conducive way. Be kind to yourselves in the thoughts and feelings that you hold within yourself, and immediately change any thoughts that are disempowering into ones that empower and uplift you. This may be challenging at first because you are still going against the mainstream of old and diminishing energies, but with constant repetition and use of this method, you will gain immeasurably in your own self-esteem and confidence. Picture yourselves in the positions of teachers, healers, and masters, helping others to learn to balance and bring their own energy systems into equilibrium. See yourselves giving encouragement and upliftment to those around you, and practicing random acts of kindness in which you expect nothing in return, only the joy and pleasure of giving to others in a way that uplifts you. This is good practice and a good way to begin to be of service to others without any need for recognition for your efforts. As the divine feminine energy flows into the atmosphere of Earth, people will feel more connected to each other, and will be more willing to risk the opening of their hearts as they let down their shields of protective patterns of thought and behavior which no longer serve the magnificent future that lies tangibly before them. Many on the earth at this time are suffering greatly within themselves, for as they become awakened they are realizing that they could have done many things differently in situations that needed their attention. It is important for these ones to realize that they did not have the same perspective at the time of these events that they now hold, and to allow themselves forgiveness of their perceived shortcomings during those times. This also indicates that you have come a long way. Celebrate this accomplishment and reward yourself in a way that is meaningful for you. Life on this planet is a journey of self-discovery, and just as one must hold the helm on a sailboat to keep it safely afloat, one must learn and adjust to the current that tosses them about as they sail on their journey through life. All of life is about the experience of it, and this is how one matures and progresses. There are no judgments from the divine realms, only learning and growth within each individual. Each of you has chosen your soul path in order to gain more awareness and power of the divine attributes of your divine essence, and you are directly experiencing that path in your moment of now. In other words, you are fully participating on your chosen journey of life, with all its seeming ups and downs. This is the way that you as soul have chosen to bring into your earthly life all the people, situations, and conditions that lie before you in your current moment. Your attitude can make it a pleasant and empowering experience, or one that you resist, which brings with it the corresponding feelings of not being supported by the universe. Your power of choice and the attitude you take can help you make a leap forward to a new and happier way of life. When one chooses the path of least resistance, life begins to unfold in a kaleidoscope of enriching and loving experiences. It is all up to you. Until next week. I am Hyla.
Alright, thanks Hyla. That was another good message as always. So that brings us to our meditation for today. Let's go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. Take another deep breath. And exhale. And just keep breathing in and out slowly. In and out. And contemplate the words of this affirmation. I am thankful for the air that I breathe. I am thankful for the air that I breathe. And continue to breathe in and out. And realize the miracle of this breath that you take. This breath that represents life. And as you breathe in and out, you are practicing the in and out respiration that the universe does each and every moment as it breathes in and out, on small scales and on large scales. And you realize that life moves in tides back and forth, to and fro, waxing and waning, off and on, forward and back, to and fro. And so as we get in synchronicity with the rhythm of life, we find ourselves dancing. And we realize that life is like a dance. And that as we learn to dance with life and have fun with life, life takes on a different meaning because we find the playfulness that exists. And in this playfulness, we push away the negativity and the doubts and the fears. We push away the hatred and the anger. And we accentuate the love. So imagine yourself now just dancing. Dancing with life. Dancing amongst the planets and the stars. Dancing with the space brothers and sisters. With the angels and your guides that are out there. Dancing in celebration of life. And as you go through the rest of this day, just imagine yourself dancing through life. Dancing through the opportunities that present themselves. Treating everything lightly, so as not to get caught up in all of the heaviness of life, but to understand and appreciate the lightness. So as you go forth today, just dance your way through the day, whether physically or simply in your mind. Just allow yourself to dance, to experience the love around you and the joy. So let our subconscious mind continue on that journey, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment, happy, healthy, and whole, happy, healthy, and whole. Take one more deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it. That is a show for today, my friends. Thank you very much for being here. Go out into the world and just have fun. Life can get very heavy, but we have the ability just to shake that off. Change is happening every day. Changes are happening right now. Now is a time of letting go of the things we no longer need and moving forth to the new opportunities that present themselves. So keep your mind open to the new possibilities. Keep dancing your way through life and enjoying the process. And just see how that gets you. I would bet that you'll be much happier for it. Thanks for being here again, as always. I really very much appreciate that. Have an awesome day. Love ya. Peace. I'm out of here.